All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the NBA Tournament Strategy Show. And today we are going to do a quick look at yesterday where we had a ton of people smash. And then we'll also look at today's nice little 3-game slate and make sure that we are good to go there. Starting off, gigantic, huge congratulations to sensational JBC. You see him on DraftKings all the time. He's a DFS Army member. He's also one of the developers for the Sharp app. The link to the Sharp app is actually in the description, but we are not delayed, Javarius. We are live. We are live. I hope everything's good to go. Let me know if you guys are having any issues. But hey, big congratulations to Sensational. Again, he's a DFS Army member. He's a developer for the Sharp app. He wins all the time, so no surprise there. This is his winning line. He had Theo Maladin. We were on that. Marcus Smart, I increased exposure to him on the pre-lock show. Jalen McDaniels was a core play. The real key and secret here was really Kevin Durant. I was off. I had Kyrie Irving. I was really hoping for the Kyrie Irving ceiling game. Thought his price tag was nice, but really it was Kevin Durant who was the guy. Kristaps Porzingis, again, I was on the Beal side of things, missed on the Porzingis side, but really those two low-owned plays are really what skyrocketed JBC sensational. Outside of that, the rest of the line wasn't really surprising. We were on Jose Alvarado. Those of you who watched the pre-lock show, we had a min on Herbert Jones, and similar story with Zion, we had a ton. I would say I also missed on Tatum as well. I think that blowout really crushed his upside. But outside of that, we had a fantastic day. I know we had multiple members do well. I know B-Dubs did very well last night. I know Scott won the afternoon slate or the night slate on FanDuel. How Cold Vice got second place in the mini max yesterday, so that was awesome. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anyone, but a ton to celebrate. Just a ton of great things happening with members. I know that a few people got burned by Valentunas. Guys, we on the pre-lock show, I put that max on him at 10%. I was like, I'm not letting him ruin me on this slate. So if you're not watching the pre-lock show, you were definitely missing out yesterday. We hit on a lot of good pieces. So yeah, really good day yesterday. For those of you who don't know, the pre-lock show starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Only for VIP members. So definitely click the link, use the code BOB for a 10% discount there. But let's get back to winning, guys. Let's keep it up. On a nice hot streak. I feel like I haven't had a profitable streak in a while, at least this season. So it's nice to be on this little bit of a heater that we're all on. Or that a lot of us are on. Not everybody. I know it can be a roller coaster ride sometimes. What's up, Courtney? Good to see you. Thomas, yeah. Scott's on his own heater as well. Let's get into the slate. Starting off with the Knicks against the Pistons. This game is going to be one of the more exciting games that we want to target, mostly because the Pistons are god-awful at defense. The Knicks are coming in pretty healthy, so nothing to really worry about from that side of things. Outside of Emmanuel Quickly, he is questionable. So that's something that we definitely want to keep an eye on. But again, compared to last night's slate, the news is going to be at a minimum. Nice, Mike. Mike finished fifth in the $3 on FanDuel, was in first for a bit. The sweat. You should have, I wish you would have put it in the chat, man. Would have loved to sweat with you on that one. The 5K would have been nice, but fifth place is a hell of an accomplishment, man. Nice. Yeah, Jimmy, like, hey, happy to have you. Looking forward to hopefully having you around more. Appreciate you watching. So yeah, okay, guys. So the Knicks are going to be a team that I definitely want exposure to. I think Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson definitely have some upside at this spot. The issue we're going to have on this slate, at least as of right now, is that we don't have a ton of value that we love. The Clippers will provide some, but some of these lines are going to look a little bit weird if we don't see an increase in news. There is a chance that we might have some really interesting value on this slate. On the other side of this game, when we look at the Pistons, Right now, they have Jaden Ivey questionable with his knee injury. We have Bojan Bogdanovic questionable. Marvin Bagley is questionable. It looks like Isaiah Stewart is going to play, and Cade Cunningham is out. So all of that news is actually gigantic. Marvin Bagley is questionable with a migraine. I think he'll probably feel a little bit better later, so I wouldn't be shocked if he plays. We've actually seen uh, Casey's their coach, start Stewart and Bagley at the same time before in the past, but Stewart has been out for like the last 10 games, so we haven't seen what that actually looks like and who actually benefits from like a usage standpoint. So that's going to be something we want to keep an eye on, see who actually plays there. Of course, if Ivy's out, Killian Hayes, I think everyone's kind of sworn him off at this point because he's burned us so many times. But if Ivy's out, he is a little bit more interesting. I like playing RJ Barrett in soft matchups. This is a soft matchup. We can consider him. Similar story with Mitch Robb. He's facing the Pistons, bad front court situation, another potential ceiling spot. If Ivy's out, I think Alec Burks would be a bit more interesting as well. Like I said, this is just an exciting game that I'm going to want some exposure to. Not really a fun game to watch, but a game that I'm interested in from a DFS standpoint, which I guess is more important, maybe. All right. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors at the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Dallas Mavericks, they recently signed Kemba Walker. He's, as of right now, unlikely to play, so we shouldn't have to worry about that too much, which means the Mavs are going to be a pretty healthy team coming in to tonight's slate. We talk about this all the time, but the Mavs they play at a very slow pace. But the Golden State Warriors, they play at a very fast pace. So this is actually a pace up spot for the Dallas Mavericks. So in theory, that should mean that we like Luka Doncic a bit more here. He should have an easier time of getting to that ceiling. But oddly enough, we've actually seen Spencer Dinwiddie have more of the ceiling games in the faster pace games. That feels weird to me. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually not overlooking anything there, but definitely something to keep a good pulse on. Stephen Curry has ceiling for days. I don't think I have to tell you guys that he should stay in your pool. But again, I don't love playing expensive guys against the Mavericks because the pace will be slower, at least on the Golden State Warriors side of things. Interesting enough, we have seen Draymond Green and Curry start to not be on the floor as much at the same time together. So that's actually a little bit of an increase for Draymond Green because that means he's taking on more of a facilitating role, and he has an increase in usage when he's playing more of that second unit. So definitely something that I don't want to forget about on a slate that's this small. I feel like every little piece of information can matter. So I just want to make sure I'm sharing at least what I have with you guys. Nightmare said, what is a good process for building single entry lineups? I'm an MME guy, so I don't really do a ton of single entry, but my thought process has always been I eat the chalk and then I pivot on 2 spots. And typically it's pivoting to a lower owned stud or to another piece of value. And you can always see who I'm increasing and who I would consider some of those like GPP pivots on the pre-lock show. I usually have the guys that I'm increasing my exposure to. Also, I do the leverage sheet on DraftKings, which hit pretty well yesterday too. Yeah, Luka's stupid expensive for this matchup. To be honest with you guys, I think with Luka, I'm just going to let the DS do its thing, and I'll probably just end up matching the field. I doubt I'm going to do anything too aggressive with him. Fatal fam, good to see you here, man. Ricky G said, Kid needs to start Wood once and for all and leave it for the rest of the season. You know, Ricky, if he did that, then life would be too easy. You know, like we can't have nice things in DFS. We have to have things that we overthink and try to talk ourselves into. And of course, this is one of those spots because the Warriors have been god awful against bigs this year. And so in theory, this is a softer matchup for Wood, but you know, he doesn't start and his minutes can be a little volatile. I think we're definitely going to have exposure to him tonight. I don't know if I'll increase my exposure to him. At least as of right now, it's pretty TBD. But someone we definitely should be considering. Thomas said, "Hi Josiah, for 3 gamers, better to do 20 max or 150." I mean, you guys, I mean, I started doing 20 maxes, so I freaking love them. They're like my bread and butter. So I'm always comfortable doing 20 maxes. But I really think you can do both. I really don't think it matters, to be honest with you. Uh, I used to think that there was one better than the other, depending on slate size, but I don't think so anymore. Uh, SC lineup, a single entry lineup. I'm not really a single entry guy, Jimmy. I MME. I make 20 lines. When I first started, when I first joined DFS Army, I could only afford to make 20 lines, and I started taking down a few of those contests, and then I started maxing the 150 and was able to take down a few of 100K tournaments. So that's kind of my process, is the MME world. OG, Josiah, hello everybody. If you have a moment, can you explain how you set up exposures, or is that for the live lock? For example, when I see your cores, I'm just hitting the lock button. No, I know that's wrong. Um, yeah, don't do that. Like, the best part about MMEing is that no one guy is usually going to break my slate, because I always at least have one line. And sometimes, even when I've had like some really big wins, there is a guy I only had like 5 to 10% exposure of. And so that was definitely me getting leverage, because more than likely that guy was only 1% owned, but still, you can get creative with that. I go over my exposures and who I'm increasing and why on the pre-lock show, so we can definitely dig deeper into it on the pre-lock show. But at least for now, usually I have my leverage spots, and I do the leverage cheat sheet on the DFS Army website. And so I like to at least be double the field on who I want leverage on. So that's like my general theory is, hey, going to be double the field on the guys I want leverage on. And then when it comes to my cores, I'm always at least 60, 65% on my core. But sometimes, depending on the slate, I'll be at 70, 80, 90. It just depends. So definitely tune into the pre-lock show so you can see how I'm using the cores, because it really varies on the slate. I'm not really a process guy, so I don't do the same thing every time, but it is still formulaic in the sense that it's similar enough. So when you tune into the pre-lock show, if you have questions on why I'm increasing exposure or why I'm lowering exposure on a guy, like again yesterday when it came to Val, I put 10% max on him because I knew he was gonna suck. So we definitely talk about it on there. And during that show, guys, if you guys have questions, like, ask me so we can talk about it. Like, I'm always happy to kind of share my theories on it. And you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but I like to at least describe it, because I know when I was a member trying to figure out what the hell DFS was, I would go to different sites and coaches and ask for advice, and they couldn't always explain it. And if I don't get it, I'm not going to be able to do it. Uh, Imagine starting Powell. I know, like, why would you? That just makes too much sense. Totally not the FBI. On a 3-game slate, would you suggest stacking the higher pace games, or does it matter? I don't really try to force stacking, but it does happen naturally. Like, it will happen naturally. It's just not something I force. If I'm trying to get leverage on guys, like, that's what I force. I force my leverage, not the stack. All right, man. Look forward to see you, man. 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be ready to go. Obi Toppin will be low owned. Yeah, Obi Toppin will be low owned, and he definitely has shown a ceiling at times. For some of these like lower fantasy points over dollar plays, I dig deeper into during my initial research on the day to try to figure out who I'm going to get leverage on. And that includes the research station on DFS Army, that includes the simulation model, that includes me just kind of being in the know around news, watching interviews, things of that sort, as well. So yeah. So yeah, Obi Toppin will be low owned, but that doesn't always mean we have to go there. He'll be in my pool. I don't really X out a lot of guys on these small slates. So usually, like, literally, if some of the value sucks, some of these random like 3K guys, if they just hit value, can do enough for you on these small slates. So I don't try to get overly cute. Diego said, I was double the field on your leverage plays last night, and that's why I profited. Oh, That's really nice, man. I'm glad it worked out. And like that's what I try to say. Like the leverage plays, like you don't lock those in either, because like at least two or three of those guys sucked last night. Like Irving wasn't great, and I know there's probably another one, but we were high on Devin Booker, who was low owned. We were high on some other guys too. And so, like, just being over the field on those low owned guys who are having ceiling performances, that is how you take down tournaments. Like, literally, if I put KD in the leverage sheet instead of Kyrie Irving, literally, I've already back tested it. That 20-30% would have been enough to hit the nuts. Insane how that works. But that's it. Like, literally, the reason why I try to do this show when I do the pre-lock show is not so you guys always do exactly what I do, because I can't tell the future, but just so you guys, if you want to try to take some of those risks for yourselves and you're really high on a guy like Kevin Durant, you can start to do some of that for yourself. So hopefully you guys are getting close to that. I know a lot of you guys are close to taking down the tournament yesterday, so that was awesome. Yes, yeah, that was a good one. The Joe Val 10% max was awesome. Yeah, Jamal Murray was another one. Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you for reminding me. I try to just kind of move on. Even when I have a good day, I just try to move on. But yesterday was definitely a good one. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost at 10K subscribers. And like I said, John Sensational and Geek, they do an NFL podcast on Wednesdays. I always recommend you guys tuning in for that. And we do a lot of really good NFL content. We have a lot of great coaches, so definitely recommend joining that. Bobby Booker smashed last night, helped me profit for sure. Yeah, definitely was helpful. All right, guys, let's wrap up this slate, or try to. We talked through most of these guys. I mean, again, I'm gonna let the DS dominate a lot of my exposure till these guys I'm not too excited to play. I do like Klay Thompson. I feel like he always has some upside in these spots on these small slates. It's really hard for me not to get exposure to him, especially being one of the cheaper starters on this team. It's just a fun way to get exposure to this game, which is the highest game total on the slate. Also, super close spread too, so that might actually be a fun watch. Anyone else stand out? Not really for me. I know I'm probably going to have more Looney than I want to. That's just the way these small slates always work. I think we've learned enough times, like JaMychal Green, he's had smash performances on these small slates. Like, don't forget about him. I think that's the biggest thing, is just like, I don't want to forget about people. Like, I definitely need to dig a little bit deeper into the research, like on some of these fringe guys, but on these 3-game slates, it's so easy to get distracted. You just kind of need to remember, like, these are the good spots. These are some guys I want to have exposure to for sure. Next up, we have the Blazers and the Clippers. On the Clippers side of things, this is where it gets exciting. We have John Wall out, Brandon Boston out, Jason Preston out, Paul George out, Kawhi Leonard out, and Luke Kennard out. That's a crap ton of guys out for this team, and that's why you're going to see a ton of Clippers in your lineups. The guys that I like the most in these spots are also the guys that have had a tendency of breaking your heart sometimes in these spots, but it's Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, interesting play, and Norman Powell. They are the guys who should benefit the most. Of course, Marcus Morris as well has ceiling here as well, and I think he'll go a little under-owned as too. The hard part for me is that the Portland Trailblazers have been a good team defensively. So these are all average NBA players who are going to see an increase in minutes in a tough matchup. During the COVID era, over the last few years, we've seen teams still have ceiling performances in these spots in tough matchups. So now I pretty much just eat the chalk, but I do just want to make sure everyone knows that there is some risk here. And if you wanted to pivot and be contrarian here, you can. Like, that's not stupid. Some guys that are going to be popular, more than likely, are guys like Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, and Moses Brown. All of these guys will be in my player pool, but at least as of right now, I'm not super interested in playing them in the same line. They all have been playing the 4 spot, and they haven't been seeing the court at the same time together very often this season. So typically, if Batum's out there, you won't see Covington, and vice versa. So really, I only want one of those kind of turd plays in my lines. I don't really want many lines that have like Batum, Covington, Brown all in the same thing. So hopefully that makes sense. That's going to be a rule I'll consider making if I see that combination happening too much. Uh, on the Trailblazers side of things, we have Keon Johnson out, Damian Lillard is out, and of course Gary Payton's still out. Anthony Simons, you guys know I'm a sucker. I always love Simons when Lillard's out. The matchup again is tough. The Clippers have also been a really good defensive team, so at 8,100, we can probably find some better spots where we don't have to get leverage on Simons tonight, but we'll still have some exposure. Nurkic and Zubac are kind of similar plays to me. Not super exciting, but we've seen the upside throughout this season, so we'll probably just have to eat it. Outside of that, Grant is someone else we can consider. He is right behind Simons when it comes to usage and leading it on this team. And at 7,300, I think there's some upside there. Josh Hart has been god awful. Even with Lillard out, he's only had like a 14% usage rate. That's very, very, very low. Again, we're not Xing guys out of our player pool in the 3-game slate. Just not super exciting at this point. So really, primarily for me, it's going to be the Clippers guys here, and then I might take a shot on one of these Trailblazers guys, but we'll figure that out on the pre-lock show. That's pretty much the walkthrough of this slate. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you guys for reviewing and celebrating with me on how great yesterday was. Hopefully we can keep the good vibes going. That's always the goal. I'll be back later today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time for the pre-lock show. Thank you again. Look forward to seeing everyone later today and breaking down this slate and taking down some contests. Good luck, guys. Peace.